I have another fragrance review, and this is for the Penhaligon's Ostara. And so you get this beautiful box. Yeah, I can't even remember the name of these things from one second to the next. You open it up and you have this cute little bottle with a spray on it. And for those who don't know, Penhaligon's is a British brand. It's one of those been around forever perfume companies, and I am not an expert on the brands, but you can buy these on their website. I actually got this one on Hotlook, discounted, and once I saw this on the Hotlook promotion, I knew it had to be mine because I have a soft spot for daffodils. My dad's Welsh, and daffodils are the Welsh flower, and they're also part of the family that includes Narcissus, which has that great story of Narcissus falling in love with himself and staring into the water until he basically dies. Very upbeat, as a lot of these old myths are. But I have a soft spot for daffodils, so I thought, okay, this one is going to be mine. This is going to be a really hard review. Part of the reason is because there are so many different notes in this, and it does shift on me a little bit. And so I'll start with just cutting to the chase. Do I like it? It's beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. It's like, I've said about another fragrance, it was like my grandmother's bushes, trees, and lilacs, and this is like my other grandmother's garden. So my other grandmother lived in Wales, and they had a farm, and they had, you know, beautiful flowers everywhere, and it had that green fragrance. And the other Penhaligon scent I have reminds me very much of the UK, and there's certain things, tendencies that a lot of the companies there, the fragrances have, which at the best can be beautiful and at the worst can smell like a cheap English countryside knockoff. But obviously my grandmother's garden was the real deal, and it was beautiful when I would go visit. So that's exactly what this reminds me of. Just a beautiful garden. Imagine like flowing green hills with big green hedges and cows here and sheep there and farms here and stone buildings and one of those old churches made of stone with those tombstones going back a couple hundred years, and there's dew everywhere, and there are flowers and there's grass, and it's just beautiful. It's beautiful. Let's describe it. Let's actually get a little bit out of my head and into the scent. So the head notes, and this is where it's going to be hard because there's so many. Clementine, bergamot, red berries, juniper, spearmint, blackcurrant bud, violet leaf absolute. The heart notes, hyacinth, narcissus, beeswax, cyclamen, ylang ylang, hawthorn, wisteria. The base notes, vanilla, benzoin, musk, amber, and white woods effects. So if you're getting this already, when I talk about a garden in the countryside with a dew and woods and grass and bees, you're there. Okay, so according to the brand, Ostara is inspired by the ultimate springtime bloom, the daffodil. The perfumer created the fragrance using his own childhood memories of abundant sweet narcissus flowers in Auvergne, France, to capture the optimism and sunlight that spring brings. Named after the goddess of spring, Ostara represents resurgence from bulb to bud to bloom. And so they say it opens with an affirming burst of green and yellow, juniper, violet leaf, absolute, and spearmint, which was not in the list that we read above, are layered against vibrant notes of aldehydes, that watery thing when I talk about the dew, blackcurrant, and clementine. Narcissus absolute leads the sun-drenched floral bouquet gathered with hyacinths, hawthorn, and cyclamen, which are given depth by the humming warmth of beeswax. This is all from the website. The fragrance then settles into a powdered resinous base of benzoin, vanilla, styrax, amber, and white wood effects. So, what do I think? And how does it wear on me? First of all, when I first spray it, I'm just trying to get through all my pages here. I've got all these pages. I get this floral burst. For me, it's like all these different springtime flowers. This is not one of those heavy old lady-ish kind of floral bouquets. This is like blooming springtime, I don't even sweet pea, even though that's not listed. Daffodil, and daffodil is a very, very barely there scent. And I read someone in one blog say that because there was so little fragrance in a daffodil, they kind of brought the whole flower in, and then they brought the garden. I'm adding this last part. They brought the garden in too. So I get that floral burst when I first spray it. And I get a touch of honey. I get wildflowers. There's also just a sweetness, but a fresh sweetness. So if you think about kind of the fragrances that are based on gourmand stuff, the food, you know, the vanilla, I honestly don't smell vanilla at this at all. I just don't, I can smell it a million times. I don't smell any vanilla at all. Here you're getting that kind of freshness that you get from a spring flower. You know, as the rose goes from like a little bud where it has that soft little barely there delicate fragrance to that fully blooming rich full fragrance, this is really that bud. And all of the floral stuff in this scent is like that. It is that bud. About 15 minutes in, I start getting, so it starts out this English garden, very dewy. It starts ripening. And when I first spray it, don't smell any of the fruit, the orange at all. Those are just flowers. 15 minutes in, it starts opening up. It starts getting a little bit more, not balanced, because I think the scent is always balanced. That's what's so nice about it. It starts bringing in different complexities. I start getting a little bit of the fruit. It's not quite as dewy as it smelled when I first sprayed it, but finally getting that. And a couple minutes later, I start getting honey and honeysuckle. Again, not here. And then the ylang ylang starts to settle in. And that's adding a real depth and a richness. If you go onto Lucky Scents, you will find that they add bergamot, red berries, the ylang ylang, which I definitely notice as it wears. I do not notice it when I first spray it. And that's supposed to add like a sexy depth to a scent. And spearmint, what else do they add? I think that's it. The white wood effect. That I had a harder time with. On me, maybe it's personal, but I don't get that either. The spearmint I don't get, the fruit barely. I do get some more blackcurrant or red berries than I do of like a citrus. But for me, it's really just what I said at the beginning. That's what this is so hard. It is sun-drenched, fresh flowers in the springtime with a little bit of dew, a little bit of grass, a very well-balanced, beautiful, sophisticated, take sophisticated away, balanced, lovely springtime fragrance. You see the sunshine, you see the flowers, you see the fields, and it gives you just this whole really beautiful feeling. I think a lot of people will smell this and feel that it's a nostalgic scent as much as anything else in a very, very beautiful way. The other thing I don't really get, the bergamot. I don't smell it. I don't smell the juniper. No. That's all I have to say about this. Like I said, this one's a really hard one to describe, but I really do like it. Of all the fragrance reviews I've done, I think this is the hardest fragrance to describe, and yet I'll bet when most people smell it, they're going to think this is probably such an easy scent to appreciate, understand, and grasp. It's just hard to explain. Anyway, please subscribe on YouTube. Feedback is welcome. And I picked a rainy day to do a review on a very sunny scent. Thanks for watching.